Good morning, students. So, in the series of my video lecture in computer networks, so I have discussed different basic of computer networks, different categories of networks, different types of networks, as well as ISO reference model and TCP/IP model, as well as its different protocols and its different function of layers. Now, in this new chapter, I'm going to discuss about different switching technique that are applied in computer networks. So it is very important switching technique. So first, what do we mean by switching? So we know that on a network, switching means routing traffic by setting up temporary connections between two or more network points. It may be host, it may be different devices. So this is done by devices located at different locations on the network called switch. So switch creates temporary connections among two or more devices connected to them. In a switch network, some switches are directly connected to the communicating devices, while others are used for routing or forwarding informations. So there are basically three types of switching, namely circuit switching, message switching, and packet switching. So if we go switching technique, so in a large network there might be multiple paths linking sender and receiver, so information may be switched as it travels through various communication channels. There are three types switching technique available for digital traffic in computer networks. So first is circuit switching. So circuit switching means when a device wants to communicate with another device, circuit switching technique creates a fixed bandwidth channel called circuit between the source and destinations. So circuit switching is a technique which directly connects the sender and receiver in an unbroken path. So telephone switching equipments, for example, established a path that connects the caller's telephone to the receiver's telephone by making a physical connections. So with this type of switching technique, once a connection is established, a dedicated path exists between both and sender and receiver until the connection is terminated. So routing decision must be made when the circuit is first established, but there are no decisions made after that time. So circuit switching in a network operates almost the same way as telephone system works. A complete end-to-end path must exist before communication can take place. The computer initiating the data transfer must ask for a connection to the destinations. So once the connection has been initiated and completed to the destination device, the destination device must acknowledges that it is ready and willing to carry on a transfer data. Now, circuit switching, your advantage is the communication channel is dedicated. So once established, it is dedicated until it is terminated. So disadvantage, there are lots of disadvantages. Possibly long wait to establish a connections during which no data can be transmitted. Next, more expensive than any other switching technique because a dedicated path is required for its connections. Thirdly, inefficient use of communication channel because channel is not used when connection system are not using it. So next, come to message switching technique. With message switching, there is no need to establish a dedicated path between two stations. So when a station sends a message, the destination address is appended to the message, and the message is then transmitted through the network in its entirety from one node to another node. So each node receives the entire message, stores in its entirety on disk, and then transmit the message to the next node. So this type of network is called store and forward network. So message switching how occurs, you can see here, from this is source and this is destinations. If we are sending message from A node to B node, then message is sent with appending the address of B, then from node C, from B to C, and similarly C to F and F to Z, and finally get the receiver. So in this way, lots of path is there. The shortest path may take less time. So a message switching node is typically a general purpose computer. The device needs sufficient secondary storage capacity to store an incoming messages, which could be long. A time delay is introduced using this type of scheme due to store and forward time plus the time required to find the next node in the transmission path. So lots of advantages we have seen in the message switching technique. The channel efficiency can be greater compared to circuit switch system because more devices are sharing the channel. So number 2, traffic congestion can be reduced because messages may be temporarily stored in route or path. Message priorities can be established due to store and forward technique. So message broadcasting can be achieved with the use of broadcast address appended in the message. So disadvantage also, there are lots of disadvantages. Message switching is not compatible with interactive applications. So number 2, store and forward devices are expensive because they must have large disk space to hold potentially long messages. That is why we need to move another new technique of switching, packet switching. Packet switching can be seen as solution or tries to combine the advantage of message and circuit switching and to minimize the disadvantage of both. So there are two methods of packet switching. One is datagram and another method is actually connection oriented partial circuit. So first, if we see, this is the packet switching technique. So from host A then packets are sent to B, and from B there are different paths. So it may two paths, either C or D nodes, and from C again there are three paths, D, F and E, again F. Lots of paths is there from source to destinations. So if we see packet switching, in both packet switching method, a message is broken into small parts called packets. So each packet is tagged with appropriate source and destination address. So since packets have a strictly defined maximum length, they can be stored in main memory instead of disk. Therefore, access delay and cost are minimized. Also, the transmission speeds between nodes are optimized. With the current technology, packets are generally accepted onto the network on first come first served basis. If the network becomes overloaded, packets are delayed or discarded. So the packet size, the size of the packets vary from 180 bits. The size of the data partial circuit switch designed by Bell Labs for communication business to 1024 or 12048 bits for some switches, also designated by Bell Labs for public data networking to 53 bytes for ATM switching, etc. The different network techniques use different size. Now packet switching. In packet switching, the analog signal from our phone is converted into digital data stream. That series of digital bits is then divided into relatively tiny cluster of bits. called packets. Each packet has its beginning the digital address for long number to which it is being sent. The system blasts out all those tiny packets, so they don't necessarily travel together, they don't travel sequentially, they don't even all travels via same route. So packet may choose different routes depending on their chosen depending on their necessity. So they also not follow a sequential order. So packet switching datagrams. So datagram packet switching is similar to message switching. In each packet is self-contained unit with complete addressing information attached. This fact allowed packets to take variety of possible paths through the network. So the packet is with same destination address don't follow the same route, they may arrive out of sequence at the receiving point. So reorder is done at the destination point based on the sequence number of the packets. So it is possible for a packet to be destroyed if one of the nodes on its way crashes momentarily. Thus all its queued packet may be lost. So if we saw the another technique of packet switching, that is virtual circuit. In virtual circuit approach, a pre-planned route is established before the data packet is sent. So a long connection is established when a sender called a call request packet to the receiver and the receiver sent back an acknowledgement packet, call accepted packets to the sender. The receiver agrees on the conversational parameter. The conversational parameter can be maximum packet size, path to be taken, another variable necessary to establish and maintain the conversations. Virtual circuit imply acknowledgement, flow control, and error control, so virtual circuits are reliable. That is why they have capability to inform upper protocol layers if transmission problem occurs. So packet switching virtual circuit. In virtual circuit, the route between stations does not mean that this is a dedicated path as in circuit switching. So packet is still buffered at its node and queued for output over a line. So difference between virtual circuit and datagram approach. With virtual circuit, the node does not need to make routing decision for its packet. It is made only for all packet using the virtual circuit. So virtual circuit offer guarantees that the packets sent arrived in order sent with no duplications or omissions, with no errors, with high probability regardless of how they are implemented internally. So advantage of packet switching. Packet switching is cost effective because switching device don't need massive amount of secondary storage. So number two, packet switching offer improved delay characteristics because there are no long messages in the queue, because here messages are fixed size, name as packet. So packet can be rerouted if any problem such as busy or disabled link. The advantage of packet switching is that many network users can share the same channel at the same time. Packet switching can be maximize link efficiency by making optimal use of link bandwidth. So disadvantage of packet switching. Protocols for packet switching are typically more complex. It can be at some initial cost in implementations. So if packet is lost, sender needs to retransmit the data. Another disadvantage is that packet switch systems still cannot deliver the same quality as dedicated circuit in the application, requiring very little delay, like voice conversation or moving images. So with this, I conclude the switching technique and we'll meet the next class. Thank you.